Hello world, you're listening to Feel Good, the podcast. My name is Malika Lee and I'm your host. And today I have with me a special guest by the name of Maurice Aytch. Welcome to the show, Maurice.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming. And our topic today is going to be on near-death experiences, or what right, some people call them NDE for short. Maurice and I had a very interesting conversation preparing for this conversation that you all are hearing. And basically, just so we have a shared understanding, a near-death experience is any experience in which someone close to death or suffering from some trauma or disease that might lead to death perceives events that seem to be impossible, unusual, or supernatural. So that is a definition that I thought would ground this conversation. And I got that from a website called Science How Stuff Works. Okay, so in talking about, near-death experiences, or NDE for short, Maurice shared something with me that I thought was really interesting. And what was that, Maurice?
That this was my first time, knowing that term. I didn't know that. I had that, I didn't know what that was.
Yes.
Now I can tell people I had a near-death experience when I explain it to them, not oh, I died and I went to heaven. And they're like, huh? That's almost like saying I seen an alien.
Right. Or what was that movie? I See Dead People.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. But actually the experience is fairly common.
Yeah. Where
they said that in the research, there's a journal of near-death studies. So there's actually a journal on this, and they say between 4 and 8% of the population has had a near-death experience, and that these experiences tend to be remarkably similar to one another, regardless of culture, religious beliefs or associations, language, you name it.
Right. I believe it.
Yes. So we're going to just, I think, jump right into it. And do you mind just first, before we get into that, will you share with us, what is it that you do?
I'm a mechanical engineer for Ingersoll Rand in Kent.
Okay.
Basically build things with my hands.
Like what?
Like hoists, lifts, just all kind of different knickknacks.
You're all smiling.
Right. Basically, it's sometimes I feel like I work for Spacey Sprockets. I'm like George Jetson. It's like the easiest way to explain it.
Okay.
So, but
how long have you been doing that?
For like a year and a half now.
I can tell you like it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a good place.
That's awesome. What matters to you?
What matters to me is family, my son, generational wealth, understanding who I am, who we are as ADOS, I say American Descendants of Slavery.
Oh, I haven't heard that term before.
Yeah,
okay.
So, just that's what matters to me.
Okay.
Really, right now. And living life.
Living life.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect segue then into getting into your experience. So do you mind just telling us briefly what led to your near-death experience, and then we'll get into what the experience was?
I was shot 4 times, twice in the head and twice in my hand on Halloween.
What year was that? 2010. Okay, so it's been almost a decade. Well, not quite a decade.
Not quite, yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been a while.
Okay.
So.
Well, we're so glad that you made it.
Yeah.
And that you're here with us.
Yeah.
Physically. So describe your near-death experience. So what happened?
Okay.
For that.
So I'm shot. I get driven to the hospital by a complete stranger. Going to the hospital, Harborview Medical Center, and basically I see the nurses running to me. They give me like a gas mask or something, put something on my face. I fall out, and I basically the last thing I remember is I just fell out, and they put something on my face, and I just went black.
So you were conscious?
Yeah, so
all the way up until getting even to the hospital and them starting to administer care.
Yeah, when the person was driving me, I'm like, "Yo, slow down."
Really?
I said, "You're gonna kill us." I'm like, "Slow down,"
No way.
Yeah. So and then he parked, And I just walked. I got out the car and walked right into the hospital.
You walked yourself?
Yeah, myself. I walked myself right into the hospital. I didn't feel any pain at all. No pain. Zero. Nothing. And walked right in, and then they put something on my face. I remember laying on a gurney, I guess they call that, and that was it.
Okay.
And then pretty much my soul left my body. I feel like, a spirit basically came and got me, but not like in a sense that like a person. It wasn't like a person, you know? So it's the difficult thing is trying to explain something spiritual.
Right. Beyond words and
put it into the physical, you know, like so people can understand.
Right.
So there I am in a spiritual form, which is basically like I'm gonna try to describe things. I'm gonna talk to you about it, but I want to describe it as well.
Okay, and then I'll ask questions. I'll be the audience because if there's something that I'm not getting because I haven't had this experience, then I trust that I'll ask the right questions to clarify.
So basically, like I'm a soul, and I see why people say you're in a tunnel, because that's what it looks like. You're in a tunnel, and I'm a soul, and basically you look like a cloud. That would be the best way to describe it, but better. It's you know, you're really kind of like glowing. You're white, and there's another spirit next to me, and I can see his, like you could say, like his aura, like his you know, guiding me to heaven.
Now, how did you know it was male if you don't have a body?
How did I know I was male?
No, how did you know the spirit?
Oh, I don't know
with
if
you?
it was a male or a female, but it was just like love. It was like I felt so happy, and I felt so much love that I've never felt in my life, like in my lifetime, and I was so happy I was dead.
Wow.
Like I was like so happy I wasn't worried about nobody, not my family, not my friends.
It's not funny, but
like seriously, I was like, yes, I'm dead. And this person that's inside of me, is generating so much love that I don't even look at them.
Wow.
It's so much love, and they're guiding me, and I see heaven. And it to describe like what it, so I'm seeing heaven and I'm seeing my life at the same time. So like I have to look at heaven, but I'm constantly being shown my life. So
what is looking at heaven? What does that look like, or what does that mean?
So heaven, to describe what heaven looks like, if you look at the solar system, and it looks like almost like the solar system without like all the like maybe like the planets and stuff. And it's like pearly. I see why people say pearly. It is kind of pearly. It's like extremely beautiful. You don't want to stop looking at it.
Okay.
And it's like you're drawn to it. You're going towards it, and it's like yeah, you know, it's like, man, that's supposed to be a great place over there, you know. And so I'm being shown my life, but understand. So this the concept of time when you're in the spirit and you're going it's like there is no time, like how we consider time.
Right.
It's all the same. It's hard to describe, but it's no, like I'm going and I'm being shown things, but it doesn't seem like I was there like, oh, an hour. I can't say I was there an hour or this many days or this and that and other. You don't have no concept of time.
It reminds me of when you're saying almost like when I dream. You know how you can be in multiple places or a lot of different things are happening and you just know where you are, you know the situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm being shown my life and I'm looking at heaven, and it's hard to look at my life and look at heaven at the same time, but I feel like the spirit wants me to look at my life.
Okay.
And as I'm going, and the thing is I'm ascending.
Okay.
I know that I'm going up, and I also can hear the prayers. I can hear all the prayers, like of the world. Like I hear everybody praying. Like, and I was like, you know, and it took me a long, many years to decipher this experience. But I'm hearing like all the prayers. I'm hearing, and like you have a sense of like your senses are heightened, like beyond like anything you can describe. So the spirit is, I feel like it's showing me stuff, it's telling me stuff, it's talking to me, but not talking to me. It's not telling me any words, but it's showing me, but you understand what's going on. You don't even have to communicate like that.
Like telepathic
Like
communication.
ESP or whatever they call that or something.
Yes.
So it's like that. And I'm like, so I hear people praying for me. I hear my mom praying for me. I hear people like saying prayers like they're praying for me, but for my mom. Like they're saying, I'm hearing prayers like, Teresa's son, this and that and other. So I know that it's not, it's of the world. And I'm hearing all the prayers. There's so many prayers that are going up.
Were there prayers, the prayers that you heard, were they the ones for you, or were you hearing like a collective of just anyone who was praying for anybody at that time?
It was first, it was for me, and then it was everybody's prayers. And then it was like everybody's prayers to God, but it was a whole world.
So different languages.
Yeah, but they all were like, it's like it was all one.
Okay.
I almost got a sense of no matter what religion you are, if it's positive and if it's of love and if it's of all that, and you pray or you hum it or whatever you do, it's going up.
Okay.
And God hears it.
Wow.
So understand, I was raised a Christian, young, but basically I left the church as soon as I could leave the church.
How old was that?
soon as mama say you ain't got to go, like, I'm grown, you know what I'm saying, a little bit. I got, as soon as you can tighten up your belt a little bit, like, mama, I don't want to go, So it's like I'm not, my experience wasn't like, I'm not trying to be like, it's like a Christian thing.
Right.
Because it wasn't. The spirit next to me didn't say, hey, I'm God, hey, I'm Jesus, hey, I'm, right. This, it wasn't like that. It's beyond that.
And it sounds like whatever you were taught at whatever respective church, that it wasn't something that necessarily spoke to you for you to want to keep going anyway.
Right.
When you were a kid.
Right.
Okay.
Because, the thing is, and I'll get back into that, the journey. But the thing is, so people have understanding of me is, I was raised in a Pentecostal temple, and like I said, then I stopped kind of going as soon as I can. But I always wanted to have a relationship with God. Very, very young. I didn't want to even read the Bible. That's how close I kind of, because I didn't even I used to think what Bible should I read? There's all these Bibles, and I didn't trust anything, but I trusted the Spirit.
Yes.
Like I said that. I always trusted the Spirit, and I always believed just I have faith, always from very, really young, and, so back to what was, back to my,
your story
experience.
And I wanted to say, just to clarify, if I'm hearing you properly, it sounds like you always had a relationship or a connection to the Spirit, but maybe that the church you're going to didn't help you develop that relationship more.
Correct. Because I like church. I like how it makes me feel. I like all that stuff. I want to get into church now, really just to share this experience, because there's so many people that just, they just don't believe, they don't know, and it's because of the world, But I want to get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
As well. So I'm being shown my life. I'm being led to heaven.
I want to ask you detail about that, because you've mentioned that a couple times.
A lot of times.
So when you're saying being shown your life, was it, in the movie, a montage where you're seeing different images at different periods of time, and they're just showing them, a montage is when they're showing it with music, so you don't even hear anything and you're just seeing a sequence of things happening. How was it when you're being shown your life? What was that experience exactly? Were you seeing when you were 5 years old, or what were you seeing?
So basically when I was being shown my life, it's your whole life. It's every event, everything you've ever done.
Wow.
Everything is like a recording of your whole life. And it's so I feel like on some parts, because keep in mind, some parts I kind of wasn't looking, because I was looking at heaven, and I'm trying to look and, at both. It's hard, and you're in this different place, and you're happy, and there's a lot of things going on. And so as I'm going to heaven, I'm getting closer and closer to heaven. The prayers stop. I don't hear the prayers anymore. And it's just me and this Spirit. And it's so much love, though. It's whoa, this is nothing you've ever felt. It's just pure love. It's oh my goodness. It's amazing. So as I'm like, yo, let me just look at I see I'm going to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Let me keep looking at my life, because it seems like the spirit wants me to see my life. So as he's showing me my life, I see that I'm older. He's showing me older, that I'm an older man.
Okay, then you are in that moment, or
that
at
I
that
am
time.
in that moment.
Yes.
And I realized that. And I said, oh, okay. In my mind, I said, okay, I guess I'm not dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that moment, when I realized that I was supposed to do something, I'm not done.
Mm-hmm.
And then my spirit went right back into my body. I just thought, I said, okay, I'm not dead. You need me to do something. And then my spirit went right back into my body. And then I just like woke up. But when I woke up, it was like, to describe it, it was like if you were in a swimming pool and you're holding your breath underwater for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
As long, I mean, like long. I'm like, you like long, as long as you can.
Okay.
And then you come up and you breathe that first breath of air. That's what it felt like.
Wow.
And it was like, and then I was like, oh, like I'm like tripping.
Right.
Like, and I see my mom and she's like, yo, you know who I am? Do you know where you're at? And I said, yeah, I know who you are. She said, well, give me a kiss then. I gave her a kiss, and then they knocked me back out. They basically kind of kept me in a coma because of all the damage that was done.
And I wanted to ask you, because I know you're getting ready
Mm-hmm.
to share so much more, but how much time in the earthly time sense
Mm-hmm.
of the word had passed from the Halloween evening until the time where you took that gasp of air when your mom was there?
4 days.
And you said there's no sense of time when you're in the other realm. So
Absolutely no sense of time. There's no sense of time. You don't you're not even like thinking about your family. You're not thinking about anything. You just feel love. You feel amazing. You're happy that you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why they say you don't feel any pain. You don't have any worries. There's no sorrow. All that stuff makes sense now, because it's like, yo, you really don't. And it's just like, there's so many people that don't realize that you're a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You will live forever.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to live forever.
You're saying that with such conviction, because
Yeah,
it's like you've had that your experience. You know that to be true.
It was amazing. It was times after that where I felt, because of the world, just living,
Mm-hmm.
going through ups and downs. I was like, yo, did I make the right decision coming back?
Yes.
Like I had a cold one-way ticket to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, man, but there was stuff I had to do.
After this experience, how did you process it or integrate it when you came back into your conscious
Great question.
mind?
Okay, so soon as I come back, spirit's in my body, and I come back, I'm like, yo, like I'm thinking in my head, like my mom, my family's there, like nobody's gonna believe where I just came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then they basically they put me back out.
Okay.
Okay, so then when I wake up again, right, and I'm like, yo, I didn't tell anybody, because I'm like, I'm basically in shock.
Mm-hmm.
Like about like, I mean, I'm happy, but I'm like there's a lot going on, because I'm in a hospital. I'm messed up. I'm on so many tubes. There's so many things are going on. I'm really like damaged,
Do you feel physical pain at that time, or they probably had you on morphine or something?
Yeah, they had me on that stuff that Michael Jackson was on, that propofol. They had me on that. That's another reason why I don't feel like he did that. But anyway, that's another story.
Okay.
So they had me on that white milky stuff.
Okay.
And but yeah, that's the first time I felt pain. When I basically like came back. So when I came to, I was just like, yo, like I wanted to say something, but it was like, how do I say something? But I was still feeling, how do I say this? Like I was still feeling the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So my senses were still heightened. I could tell people in the room, like I was really like almost like a superhero.
What were your powers? What were your superpowers?
My superpowers was like when I came. Well, first of all, the way I healed.
Mm-hmm.
I knew like the creator sent me back, because there's no way that I was supposed to heal. And first thing the doctors was saying is, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta keep in mind that half my head was blown off. When I say I was shot twice in the head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was shot twice in the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I healed to leave, basically 3 weeks later, you know, it's almost like that's something that you see from, you know, the Avengers or something like that, you know, or
right, and with no brain damage.
And with no brain damage, where they're like, yo, this guy's supposed to be retarded. He's supposed to have all these seizures. He's supposed to be like, how is this guy normal?
Mm-hmm.
How is everything functioning? I have better than 20/20 vision and the one eye that I do have left.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, I was basically supposed to be blind in both eyes. You know, my wrist healed with no surgery. I mean, the doctors are like, you know, everybody's happy, like, oh, he's recovering.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. He's recovering, but they don't know who's behind the miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when people, you know, it's like, man, the Creator creates miracles all the time, but you think, you know, maybe they work through doctors, maybe he works through medicine or people or anything, but he does that.
Mm-hmm.
He heals you. He you know, like the way I healed, it was like, what?
Right.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
No way. I'm missing part of my brain. There's bullet fragments still in my head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, no way. You know, so I'm feeling that. Also, you know, I could just sense people.
Mm-hmm.
I can sense people. If the phone rang, I knew who was on it.
Okay.
It was like weird, but I wasn't telling anybody.
Right. All this is going
All
on.
this. You know, it's like for a very long time, I'm like, yo, why? You know, but I know I had this experience. And I'm like, nobody's going to believe me.
Right.
They're going to be like, yo, you are on so many meds right now.
Right, you're high,
you know?
or whatever. Yeah, and when you say sense people, what do you mean by that?
Like when, like, for instance, there was a time you came to my house after the incident. And you weren't upstairs. I was upstairs in the room. But I can sense your spirit downstairs. And it was like so much like love in your spirit that I felt like it was healing me physically. And it was like my mom was there. I could feel her spirit. I could feel like it wasn't like like your physical, your voice or your something like that. I knew who was in the house. Like I could just, it was just like senses. But now those senses are kind of they're kind of gone in a way. You know, like, I mean, I really can't, you know,
it's
I can't
beyond,
tell. It's, I can't.
But when you're like, you can sense it, was like you could get a feeling of a person's essence, the things that people don't say, but it's like you get their vibe or good energy or not good energy.
It was like, it was like I was feeling all that. I'm like, yo, and it was always good. And it's like, I wanted that around me. Because I knew that was like helping me. And it was like, it was helping me sleep better. I was feeling the same love that when I was in heaven. It was the same, like, that's the same type of love. Like, it was that type of, I mean, it was better, but it was like that type of.
That's the closest we can get to heaven on earth.
It was like the closest thing, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and one thing we should disclose is that, so Maurice is like my brother, basically.
Yeah.
His mother is my godmother. He's my godbrother. And so, you know, out of the womb, we have just been thick as thieves, you know. So that's why I was at his home visiting, you know, and one of the people that he shared his story with. And I was like, you have got to come share this story.
Right.
It's amazing. What were the gifts from that time? Like, now that you've returned, how has that moment, how has that experience shaped how you live? Like, how do you live? Did you live before versus how do you live differently now? Or do you live differently?
Yes. Okay. Great question. So, when I got back, I realized that I can't take nothing with me. I realized, like, I can't take cars, no money, no nothing. And I realized all you take is your experiences, you know? So when I got back, I'm like, yo, that's what I want. I want good experiences with people, you know? And I was spending a lot of money. I didn't have my son at that time. But like later, I mean, you know, like I would spend my money on doing stuff with people, you know? And everybody be like, you know, what's going, you know? So it's like if I take a vacation, if you can't go, I'm gonna pay for you. You know, if we're gonna do something, we trying to get, even if it's getting into some club or some whatever, I'm gonna pay for you. I want to go here. I want to do this. You know, it doesn't matter. It's just like I wanted like great experiences with people.
Okay.
You know, because I felt like, you know, if I was to pass again, that's the only thing. And it's like I wanted to just show love. You know, like I'm all about like, you know, positive. Like my glass is half full. You know how they say you got people that it's either half empty or half full.
Right.
But like 100% of the time my glass is half full, even in the bad times. You know, and I also see the thing is I know that your life is already written.
Oh, interesting.
Right. See, I understand that. So it's like, I live like, you know how they say, give it to God. You give it to the creator. Cause I don't want people to be like, hey, he's talking about God. I'm Muslim or I'm this or that. But give it to the creator. You have to give your life to the creator because your life is already written. You know, it's like if you want to make the creator laugh, I heard this thing for somebody say, if you want to make the creator laugh, tell him your plans. Or tell her your plans.
Right.
Tell the creator your plans if you want, you know. So it's like you know, it's not like, and it's like I'm not scared of death. I'm definitely different, and it's like when people see, the thing is when people pass, like family members pass, your pops pass, Smokey, all that, it was kind of like I have to be careful because I be happy. And somebody might take that the wrong way. And so Smokey, who's my cousin, Sharon McDowell, he just passed, and Jeannie, my auntie, and a bunch of, and Terry, my other auntie. So I had a lot of, and it's like I was happy, you know, because I know where they're at and I know where they're going, and everybody's sad, and they're probably like, why this dude at the funeral smiling at everybody, you know? But here's the thing. Every time I smile at people and I laugh, guess what they did? The same thing back. So they're not crying. They're like, yo, I'm like, man, you know? And so it's like, they're like that love, they can sense it, even though they're, you know, they're hurting.
And so from your experience, you know, not many people on the planet have had an experience of the love that you've described, and the choice, and what heaven and the creator and its realness.
Right.
So I'm wondering if we could just learn like a couple of things from you. What would you want us to know?
Your life is already written. Just live it and just promote positiveness and love, and, you know, just try to be a good person, and know that the creator, you're going to have to answer for everything you do. You know, so like, even though it's written, you're going to have to answer for everything. So when you see all the bad people doing stuff in the world and stuff like that, they're going to have to answer for that. That's not up to you. That's up to the creator. But just give yourself to the creator. Don't worry about if your license is going to get turned off in a week, they're going to get turned off. That's already written. You're going to wreck your car or do whatever, it's already written. So just go through life and try to just overcome the obstacles or whatever, and just know that it's real. That's the best thing, is that it is real, that heaven is real. It's a real place, and you are a soul, and you're going to live forever.
Wow. That's quite a message. Thank you so much, my guest, Maurice Aytch, sharing with us his near-death experiences and learning that we can take from that experience without having to go through it.
Correct.
If you'd like to learn more or hear of other people's personal experiences, there are a couple of books, one called Dying to Be Me, written by Anita Morjani, as well as another book called Proof of Heaven, written by Eben Alexander. And I'm your host, Malika Lee. You've been listening to Feel Good, the podcast. And remember, it's much more than a podcast. It's a movement. You can follow me on Instagram at Ms. MS Malika Lee, MALIKALEE. Feel Good, the podcast, is available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, as well as YouTube. Thank you for listening.